pentatonic minor scale. Everybody knows it, and if you don't know it, you should. Here it is. Starting in the key of A minor, this is the A minor pentatonic scale. Starting on the 5th fret E string, which is our A note, that's our root note. We go 5, 8, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 8, 5, 8. Minor pentatonic scale in the key of A. Now, lots of people go their entire lives only using that scale and they never learn any other scales, and they can actually make this scale pattern sound fantastic. But if you find this a little bit limiting, and if you feel like you're in a bit of a rut and every time you go for a solo you find yourself back in that safe position of that minor pentatonic scale, here are two things that will hopefully expand your knowledge and break you out of that rut and give you a new lease on using this scale in a really practical sense. Now, the first one is knowing that this can also be used as a major pentatonic scale. Okay, so that's minor pentatonic in the key of A minor. But if we start on our second note here, which is the C, we can actually play the exact same scale pattern and make it sound like a C major pentatonic scale. They're the exact same notes. And the reason is this, and I'm going to kind of try and keep this fairly simple so it's easy to remember, because every major scale has a relative minor scale. Every major chord has a relative minor chord, and it's basically because they use the exact same bunch of notes, but they just have a different root note. Now, the C major scale is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, right? All the natural notes, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. The minor scale, if you start playing that major scale, but you start on the 6th degree of that scale, which is an A, C, D, E, F, G, A. If you start at A and you keep playing those natural notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, you're playing the natural minor scale in the key of A. So you're playing the natural A minor scale. So you can say that the minor scale is the 6th mode of the major scale. And it is. It's called the Aeolian mode. But we don't really need to worry ourselves too much with remembering that stuff, because there's a much more practical and easy way to use this and to remember this. And that is, you go down 3 frets from any major chord, any major note, and you'll find your relative minor note or your relative minor key. Whether you say scale, chord, or key, it means the same thing in this discussion. So for C, if you go down 3 frets, you're at A. That's your relative minor. So C major to A minor, A major, go down 3 frets, and you don't count the first fret, you go 1, 2, 3, down to F sharp. So F sharp is the relative minor of A major. That happens everywhere. F major down to D minor. And you'll notice with those chords, for example, F major and D minor are made up of many of the same notes. C major, A minor, and so on and so forth. G major, E minor. Once you realize that simple concept, you'll find those chords in relation throughout many, many songs. It's a very, very fundamental piece of music theory, the relative minor and the relative major relationship. Now, that 3 fret gap we can actually use to our advantage, because it's very, very easy to understand, to remember, to comprehend. But it's also the first interval in our minor pentatonic scale. So when we started at A, the second note that we played in the pentatonic scale was a C. So that means that this note here is our starting point for a major pentatonic scale. And this note is our starting point for a minor pentatonic scale. Same exact scale pattern, but different starting points, different root notes. Down here for the minor, up here for the major. Now, another practical application is to find your root note. Know what key you're playing in and know whether it's major or minor. And let's face it, that's information that you should know. And find that starting point. So say you're in the key of B flat and it's B flat major. You want to play in the key of B flat major? Put B flat at the top of your minor pentatonic scale shape, or your pentatonic scale shape, and make that your starting point, and then all of a sudden you're playing in B flat major. If it's B flat minor or B flat blues, and for blues and rock, minor works most often better than major, but try them both out, and sometimes a mixture is good, but that's another lesson. If it's B flat minor or B flat blues, there's your root note. Go up from your root note and play that scale pattern. So same starting point, but you move down the neck using that scale pattern for major, and you move up the neck using that same scale pattern for minor. Now I've put that in a chart that you can download that's very, very visual and hopefully easy for you to remember and apply it to your playing. The second piece of information that will hopefully open up your pentatonic scale shape playing is to realize that it's a pentatonic scale, so it's got 5 notes instead of the regular 7. Most scales have 7 tones in them, so there's 2 missing. If we add those 2 notes, we get a lot more color to both our pentatonic major and our pentatonic minor scales. And it's very easy to find what those notes are, especially if we're talking in the key of C major, because our notes are C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. So if you start from here in your C major scale and you go C, D, already know it, E, already know it, there's a missing one, F, G, already know it, A, B, there's a missing one there, so it's just outside of that scale pattern, but on the G string, 1 fret down from your next note, which is the C, then your D, then your E. Next missing note was the F, remember? So you add that note there on the 6th fret B string. That one we already know, that's a G, A, and then adding that B again to that scale. Now we add that B on the way down if we're going right down to our A. And the easy part is the exact same 2 notes fit in the minor pentatonic scale as they do in the major pentatonic scale, because remember, it's the same bunch of notes. For C major or A minor, same bunch of notes. So now our pentatonic scale with the added notes looks like this, and in the key of A minor, or C major, so now you can add those notes in your pentatonic scale, whether you're playing in the key of A minor, or whether you're playing in the minor key or the major key, because this scale obviously moves up and down the neck depending on what key you're in. But you can actually use those in any kinds of way. The possibilities are limitless, basically. But you've now got those extra notes in all octaves to add to your pentatonic scale to make it a full-blown minor scale, a natural minor scale. Or if you're in the major pentatonic key, adding those notes turns it into the full major scale, and you go from there. And a really, really good exercise to use now is to go through some of your melodies from your favorite songs or songs that you know well, and use those full scales, the minor and the major scales, to spell out those melodies. Look through your songs to find those relative minor and relative major relationships between G and E minor, between C sharp minor and E, between, they're all over the place. You'll find them in almost all songs, really, because they're a really, really effective tool for using in chord progressions. Quite often you'll find that a change in a middle section or a change in a song will go to its relative minor, or if it's in a minor key already, it'll go to a relative major. But look around and you'll see it everywhere. Hopefully that has been some useful information. If there's anything that you kind of want clarified or you didn't quite understand, get in touch with me. I'll try and help you out if I can. And enjoy your playing. Major, minor, pentatonic, heptatonic,